This example is a little bit different. This person happens to be self-employed, and they pay themselves a $4,000 monthly salary. And again, we want the FICA taxes for the month of December. So first of all, we want to just double check and make sure that we're not in any danger of going over the cap. So $4,000 a month, 11 months so far, year to date, $44,000. So nowhere near the cap of $106,800. So it's okay to go ahead and take the OASDI taxes. So in this case, $4,000, but instead of the 6.2, since this is a self-employed person, remember I have to double that. So I'm actually going to use 12.4%, and so as a result, they will have $496 withheld for OASDI. And then I'll do the same thing for the HI taxes, but again, since this person is self-employed, I use 2.9%, double the normal rate. So that'll be 116 HI. So 496 and 116 means that in total, $612 will be withheld for FICA taxes. And that includes both the employee and employer match all at once, because this is a self-employed individual. Now, in addition to calculating the taxes, what are some other requirements of employers in regard to the FICA law? Well, first of all, we have this requirement, which is titled SS4, Application for Employer Identification Number. Any business that organizes as a business and wants to hire employees and pay them has to fill out this form, SS4, and get their employer identification number. And that's going to be used for reporting purposes when we report to the Social Security Administration. It's very important as a business that we have that number. The next requirement is that every time we hire a new employee, as part of that process, we have to verify their Social Security number. So we cannot necessarily take the Social Security number that they have given us for granted, because there are many things that happen. There's identity theft and all sorts of things that happen. So we have to call the Social Security Administration and verify that the person is in fact who they claim to be. Another responsibility of the employer is all these taxes that we calculated in those previous example, they eventually have to be sent and deposited with the Social Security Administration. So that's a requirement. And also from time to time, every quarter, we must fill out a Form 941, which is the employer's quarterly federal tax return. And that is a requirement according to the FICA law and a requirement for the Social Security Administration. Now, when it comes to deposits, how are we going to make these deposits and how often do they have to be made? In order to understand that, we have to talk about the meaning of look back period. Basically, what they're going to do is they're going to look at 4 quarters. And during that 4-quarter period, they're going to look at the total pay that we paid out to all employees. And based on how high that number is, that will determine our status. And that will determine how often we are required to send these FICA taxes to the Social Security Administration. So here are the options. During that look-back period, if we paid in total $50,000 or less to all employees, then we will be required to send the money monthly. If we paid more than $50,000 in the look-back period, we will have to make our deposits semi-weekly. If we paid out $100,000 or more in any single day in salaries, then we would have to deposit the money every single day. And if we paid out less than $2,500 for the quarter, we make no deposits at all. So those are the different possibilities in terms of deposit status. And once we fall into that status, that is how we will deposit that money with the Social Security Administration. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about are the possible penalties. Obviously, we're going to calculate these Social Security taxes. We're going to withhold the money. We're going to do all our payroll paperwork. We're going to do all of our reporting requirements. We're going to deposit the money. And hopefully, we're going to follow everything to a T and do exactly what our responsibilities are. But if we fail in our responsibilities, we're going to be hit with penalties. And what are the possible reasons that would cause us to have a penalty? Well, there are really 4 reasons. First of all, we might fail to file the tax return. Remember that 941 form has to be filed every quarter. If we fail to do that, we will be hit with a penalty. The next possibility is failure to pay the tax. So even if we file the return but fail to pay the proper amount of taxes, we will still possibly be hit with a penalty. The next possibility, failure to make timely deposits. Remember, if we're a monthly depositor, we better make those deposits every single month. If we are a daily depositor, we better make those deposits every day. It's very important that we adhere to that. And finally, failure to furnish complete information. So if any of these things occur, we will be hit with a possible penalty. So that's why it's so important that we stay up to date on the latest FICA rules and that we stay up to date on the percentages. And we always want to make sure that we calculate those Social Security taxes so that we can make sure that we're deducting the proper amount.